Howdy y'all, my name's Corey, and let's look at my game room. We're going to look at my collection, my decorations, and everything in between. Alright, so let's start with a little context. I started collecting and played my first set of board games in 2018. As I talked about in my last video, the first game that I ever really got introduced to the hobby with was Catan. Funny enough, Catan was not the first game I ever bought, because the second game that introduced me to the hobby was One Night Ultimate Werewolf, which was the first game that I ever bought. Here's a little bit of a funny story for you. When I first got into it and everything, I started playing Catan World online, which was how I got really introduced to the game. I played it live first, then I found Catan World, and that's how I started playing it more. Well, first thing I did is I went to YouTube, and I was like, let's find more games. So I found One Night Ultimate Werewolf, and I fell in love with it. Well, in 2018 was only a year after me and my wife got married, and we were broke as a joke. Every dollar, we were paycheck to paycheck, every dollar went towards bills or something in our lives. We didn't have the money to worry about buying board games. With that being said, One Night Ultimate Werewolf is only about a $15 game. So I want you to think about that. We couldn't find it in our budget to justify buying a $15 game. Now granted, we put this at the end of our budget. I'm not saying we were that poor that we couldn't buy anything, but we couldn't put into the budget to buy board games. So what I ended up doing is I made my own home copy of One Night Ultimate Werewolf. I took index cards and I cut them up and I wrote the roles in the game on the back of them and basically made my own cards. That's really all you need to play. I ended up going through all kinds of trials where I first wrote it in Sharpie and it bled through. You could see it in the back. The cards I didn't cut evenly, so if you paid close attention, you could tell what card was what. All kinds of different things. It was so funny. I made like 4 copies before I ever found a copy that was actually playable. But even then, we were like still learning how to play these games because we'd never really played board games, me and my friend group at all. I introduced everyone to them. So what we would do is when we closed our eyes at night during the game, if you understand how it works, is we would take the cards and like flap them around to make noise so that people couldn't hear what was happening during the game. Just a little bit of context about something that happened getting me into the hobby. Alright, so that's how I started collecting. My first ever board games, I got 1 or 2 at a time. I think I started in maybe July of 2018, so by Christmas time, I had bought only maybe 5 or 6 games. Well, for Christmas time, I went to my family and said, I want board games. That's all I want is board games. So they're like, give us a list and we'll try and find you some stuff. Well, for Christmas that year, I got somewhere between 10 to 15 games, and every one of those games are still in my collection today. It was really the first time that I would have said I had a collection, because the first few games I got, I just had some games. I wouldn't necessarily call it a collection. But after that first Christmas, I had my first collection of about 15 games. Fast forward to the following year, 2019, I ramp it up. Our money situation got better so that we could afford to start buying more games and I could start investing in my hobby. And of course, this entire time, I'm learning more and more about the hobby. I'm learning about all these amazing games that I want to buy. And my Amazon cart is full. My wish list is full. And I have so many games that I'm wanting to buy and play and all that stuff. So fast forward to August of 2019, I go to my first ever Gen Con. First Gen Con was fantastic. I came back with a giant haul, of course, and after Gen Con 2019, I would say I was officially hooked to this hobby for the rest of my life. I will never look back from now on. Before Gen Con 2019, I was in the hobby, I was collecting, I was having a great time, but I wasn't so invested that I would never look back. After Gen Con 2019, I was hooked, and I'm never looking back. Now everything's happened between now and then. My collection has grown. It is on both sides of this room. What you see behind me is not everything. We're going to show you everything in my collection. We're not going to go game by game. That's just too much because I do have over 250 games. We are still growing. We will be at 500 before too long. I do want to add a caveat here so that some of you understand. If you know me and you've watched some of my videos, you know I am an everything collector. When I buy a game, I want everything for that game. Upgraded components, metal coins, play mats, everything. So even though I only have 250 games, because I know to some people that's actually not a ton, some people have thousands of games, but I will say this, a good majority of the games I have here are loaded. You open up the box, it is spilling out with components. A game that's $50 may be worth $200 here because of all the upgrades I've made to it. Between official upgrades from the companies and the publishers, to companies that make their own upgrades like MapleSource, to just going to Etsy and buying cool things that people make for the game themselves. So there's a little context to my collection. Finally, let's take a look.
All right, let's go in.
give you a quick look around, and then we will dive in more depth. Alright, let's start with the board game collection, of course. So I do have 1, 2, 3, 4 2x4 Calyx shelves on the right hand side over here. Over on the other wall, I have 1 4x4. So all in all, that is a total of 2x4 is 8. 32, 16. That is a total of 48 Calyx squares if you are going by that. Of course, I have a couple of games on top as well, some of the bigger ones, which of course my new Takedo will go up there as well because it is so big. But let's go Calyx shelf by Calyx shelf, and then we'll just kind of go from there. Alright, so in shelf 1, I have of course all of Wingspan and Mary Poses. I have my little nest here on top. This is where I put the eggs when I'm playing Wingspan. This will not fit comfortably in the base game box, neither will Wingspan Asia. However, I do plan on getting the nesting box, which will fit everything and hopefully fit everything comfortably, as well as future expansions to come. Over here, we just have a few of my favorite games: Seven Wonders Duel, Century, Furnace, the latest edition, Taverns and Quacks from the same designers. A couple of old schools here: Dead of Winter, Shadows over Camelot. This is my Viticulture wine crate, big boy here. It stores everything fantastically. Of course, I have all the upgrades in that game. Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion. Regular Gloomhaven is up there. We'll get to it soon. Then down here, I have the vast majority of the Shem Phillips line. I have all of the West Kingdom. I've got Wayfarers, South Tigris. The only North Sea game I have is Raiders. However, I have the other two coming soon, and I will have all of the Shem Phillips games. Of course, I have already backed the new South Tigris game on Kickstarter as well. Some more of my favorite games, Jack the Ripper games, all right here. I am a big Sherlock Holmes fan, so I have an entire square down here of Sherlock Holmes games. And then one of my favorite mechanics is hidden movement. I have an entire square of hidden movement games as well. Alright, moving on to the next set of shelves. Of course, we have to have the Scythe and Terraforming Mars big box collections. Both of these games are in my top 20 of all time. I have to have all the upgrades, everything inside, and the big boxes, of course. These two are prizes in my collection. Absolutely love them. Couple more up top. I do have the Terraforming Mars sequel game right underneath it, Ares Expedition. Of course, Role Player, another one of my favorite games. I have everything, the big box, all the expansions inside. My Father's Work and After the Empire, two of the latest additions to my collection. My Father's Work did win a Dice Tower Award this year. And then we move on to the 4 squares that I call the Eric Lang area. The Others is one of the most underrated Eric Lang games I think there is. I love it. Me and Lucas play it. It is one of my favorite 1v1 games. Technically, it's a 1v all game, but I think the best way to play it is 1v1 personally. Have all of the Rising Sun expansions. Beneath it, I have all of the Rising Sun upgraded components. The Daimyo box, which if you are a fan of Rising Sun, you know that this might be one of the most expensive things in my collection, because I did not get it as a part of the Kickstarter. I was not really into gaming at that time, so I did get this after the fact, so I paid a pretty penny for it. Rising Sun, of course. I do have the Rising Sun big box crate to put all of this stuff in, but I am still currently in the process of building it. I can't wait for it to get done and I can actually put everything into one big box. Over here, we have Ankh and all of the expansions and everything that came with it. Funny story, Ankh was the first ever game I backed on Kickstarter, and of course, as you can see, I went big and got everything. I have the playmat over here, everything. And that also gives you an idea of when I found Kickstarter. So I got into the hobby, but I didn't really find out about Kickstarter until later. So I got Ankh and I love it. It is actually my favorite of the 3. We'll get into this conversation one day, but Rising Sun, Blood Rage, and Ankh are a trio of games, and Ankh is actually my favorite. And then of course, we have the tried and true Blood Rage up here. And next set of shelves over here, we have my One Night area. As I said, One Night Ultimate Werewolf is one of my favorite games ever, and is one of the games that got me into the hobby. We have all of the One Night stuff. We have similar social deduction games over here. Going down, I also threw this in here because it's a wolf game. We've got the Ultimate Werewolf Extreme, Ultimate Werewolf Legacy, and then 1 week Ultimate Werewolf. You can see how much I love Werewolf. Going back up, we have all of my Villainous. I love Villainous, you know it. We have the Star Wars. We got the Marvel. Marvel, and we have all the Disney stuff, of course. Love Welcome to New Las Vegas, Welcome to the Moon, a great trio of games. We have both In the Hall and Fall of the Mountain King, an entire square of unmatched games. We've got the original Cobble and Fog, some extra characters thrown in there. Love it. Down here we have, I guess, my pirate games, Jamaica, Captain's Log, Treasure Island, etc. Then down here we've just got my dinosaur games, and I had to have somewhere to throw Marvel United, so we threw it in there. Alright, and there we go. Let's move on to the next set of shelves. Alright, last set of shelves on this side of the wall. This is where the games start to get a little less organized, because these are the games that I didn't have as much clarity in what goes with what. So a bunch of these games are kind of just thrown in there. I think we all have those areas of our collection where we just kind of have extra games we have to put. Over here are what I would call my micro games. I do have all of those in one shelf, thankfully. Some of my favorites here, I tried to go a little bit here with putting some Viking stuff together, things like that, Norse. Going down, I tried to put all of my nature games, Bosk, Photosynthesis, Parks, things like that. Some classics over here, Suro, Azul, Sagrada. Going on down, this is mostly Funko games. Jaws, Legacy of Isla Nublar, Jurassic Park, things like that. Tried to put all of my Funko games together. Over here is just kind of a mismatch. These are actually, again, I love these games. So many of these are going to be in my top 100. Cartographers, Cryptid, I think, is one of the most underrated games I've ever played. It's just a game about laying out pieces and trying to find a secret spot on the board by asking questions of your neighbors. It's a really fun game. If you've not looked into it, I think you should check it out. I love Cryptid. Going on down, some more of my games. The Bloody Inn is one of the wildest and wackiest games I've ever seen. You should look into it as well. And then we've got some simpler games over here, ones that you can kind of bust out with almost anybody. And number 9, Lanterns. King Domino won the Essen Spiel, or the Spiel des Jahres at Essen, I guess I should say. God, I think it won it all the way back in, I think it was 2019 when King Domino won it. But another great set of games. Alright, we're on the other side. You will see that I've got some boxes and stuff in the way here. I'm not going to move them, but I'll explain why here in a moment. This, however, is what I like to call a little bit of the classic area. We've got Ticket to Ride, we've got our Catons, King of Tokyo, Carcassonne, Seven Wonders, Stone Age, Smash Up, Splendor, Takenoko, Lords of Waterdeep, Five Tribes, Small World, and Dominion. This is definitely more of my classic row here. We've got an entire row here of cooperative games, a bunch of Pandemics, Flashpoint, Forbidden Island. Go on down, we've got more cooperatives. We've got Final Hour, Castle Panic, Horrified, Ghost Stories, more cooperative games. And then as we move down here, we've got some social deduction type games, Spyfall, Deception Murder in Hong Kong, more classics, Betrayal at House on the Hill, Sheriff, and then a couple extra games kind of thrown in there. And very last set of shelves, we're going to start here at the bottom, because as you can probably see, I have this giant pile of stuff in front of this shelving. So I just want to point out that those two sets of shelves down there that you can't see, this one is all puzzles. Me and my wife like puzzles, so it's down there. Over here, I've got some Magic the Gathering cards and some poker chips. I like those as well, and just a couple of mementos, I guess the best way to put it. So those two shelves you don't need to worry about too much. Over here, we've got some escape room games, which I enjoy to play solo. I'm not much of a solo gamer, but when I do play solo, it tends to be escape room games. Some hardcore classics over here. We got the Monopolies, the Masterminds, Liar's Dice, Uno, some hardcore classics. Some party-ish style games, Codenames, Dixit, Cash and Guns, Ready, Set, Bet, maybe my new favorite game of this past year. Some more Funko type games and more Walmart heavy games, Ted Lasso, Squid Game, Funkoverse games. Over here, these are 2-player games. Everything here is 2-player. I'm a very big fan of 2-player games. I actually tend to try to turn multiplayer games into 2-player games because I love sitting across from one person and trying to devise a strategy to just take down that one person who can do it better. I really enjoy that. And my final shelf here is my shelf of shame. This shelf is the one that I am looking to cull from my collection. This shelf is where I put everything that over the next month or so will no longer be in my collection. These are games that I either picked up and wasn't a huge fan of, I just need to move on because I have games similar to it that I like better, or games that I kind of got as bonuses, whether it be at conventions or I got them for free for some reason. Maybe some people gave them to me as gifts and they didn't really understand what the hobby's really about. You know what I mean. But unfortunately, this is the shelf that will be leaving my collection very soon. Got to make room for all of these games, this giant stack. Alright, so this giant pile in the floor here is the next thing I want to talk about. First off, I have a TV here. I planned on hanging the TV up here above the window so that I could have something right there that was accessible to the whole room and I can play things through it when people are here, whether it be music, episodes of Tabletop, or we can look up videos because we're always talking about a video we've seen on YouTube or something and we can just look it up and watch it. I am not going to hang it though because me and my wife are looking to move. We are trying to sell our house and move, so I don't want to hang a TV that I'm just going to have to take down here in about a month or so. So that is just going to be hung once we get into our new home, hopefully here in the next couple months. I didn't want to waste my time or put holes in the wall by hanging the TV, so that'll be a project for another day. Now, this stack here, all of this stuff that, yes, goes all the way back to the wall. There's another big box underneath there. All of this stuff, one, you can see some of my Gen Con haul is mixed in here. Some of this is games that I have just picked up at local game stores and things like that over the past couple of weeks. Some of these are Kickstarters that have been delivered, and some of this is my Amazon Prime Day delivery that happened last month. All of this needs to find its way into the collection and into the decorations, and I'm going to give you a hint about what my next video is going to be. Next video coming up is going to be an unboxing of all of this junk. I've already shown you the Gen Con haul, so I will take that stuff out, and then we will move on to unboxing the rest of this. I hope you look forward to it. Be sure to like this video if you're enjoying it. Subscribe and ring the bell. If you ring the bell, you will get notified whenever I post videos, and you will be able to watch this unboxing as soon as it comes out. Alright, let's keep going on in the room. Alright, so let's talk about my table. I am just using a classic folding table in this room for now with just a mismatch of chairs. However, I did back on Kickstarter almost a year ago now a board game table, a legit board game table. I'm so excited to get it. It should be here within the next couple of months. However, like I said, where we're looking to buy and sell homes right now, when it gets here, I will not build it straight away. I will save it for the next couple of months until we get into our new home. Then I will build our table. This table has served me well for the past couple of years. I'm very happy with it, but I think we can all agree a board game table is a piece de resistance in a gaming room. Alright, let's start with my wall art now that we're done with the games. I have my Voldemort wand with my Ollivander sign and my Emma Watson, Hermione Granger picture, whatever you want to call it there. I'm a big Harry Potter fan, so I love that area. My wife made me this. Welcome to our home, roll for initiative. My wife made me that. I love it. I have had this Carolina Panthers hanger over top of my window since I was in high school. I've had it for years. I'm also a big Game of Thrones fan, so we have our continent here, our map. We have Tyrion, who is one of my favorite characters. That's what I do. I drink and I know things. I love this. Alright, as you will find out very much from me, I love Naruto. On the back of the door here, we've got a big Naruto poster. This is an Edgar Allan Poe artwork that I got from my 2019 Gen Con. We have the BGG Top 100 Games scratch-off poster. I think this one's from all the way back in 2021, so honestly, that one needs to come down and I need to get a new one. We have my Naruto headbands of all different kinds hanging on the wall here. I cosplayed as Zabuza from Naruto in 2021 at Gen Con, and I bought this incredible Zabuza sword that I have now hanging on my wall above the closet. Of course, Naruto eating ramen. My pin board that has all my Gen Con pins. If you recognize this pyramid, it is from Ted Lasso. Let's go ahead and take a look at my pins. Up here, we went to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. One of my favorite movies of all time is Monty Python's Holy Grail. So we got the rabbit and the Black Knight from it. Naruto, Smite, one of my favorite video games of all time. Pyramid of Success from Ted Lasso. And then down here, we have all of my Gen Con pins. We have all the pins from each year. We have 18, 19, 20. We have 23. I don't have 21 or 22, sadly, but we are trying to collect all of the Gen Con official pins. We have all of the villainous pins here, of course, all the way across. Pins from different board games that I love. We got the One Night Werewolf, Wingspan, some of my favorite games. The ones from this year that I'm picking up, these are adorable in the way their tails move. I love it. Some wooden ones I picked up at Gen Con. More Gen Con pins. Double hotbox pins here, like I said. Every time we go Gen Con, I want to get a hotbox pin, and just some more pins here. We got the BGG one, Cyanide and Happiness, and there's my pin board. I can't wait to fill in all of this space over the years with just more and more, and eventually move my Pyramid of Success somewhere else so that I can put even more pins in here. Alright, in the corner over here by the door, I have tubes and tubes and tubes, all filled with playmats for all of my games. I told you I've got to have everything, so of course I have to have playmats, and there's the tubes they're kept in. Over here, I have this shelving unit. But first, as you can see here on the side, I have more playmats and tubes. So, let's talk about this shelving unit real quick. First off, I have a mini fridge here. I have snacks on top. The mini fridge is stacked with waters and drinks, everything you need. If you have a game room and you don't have drinks and snacks in there, you need to get it. Every good host should have drinks and snacks in their game room. So, this shelving unit, I have extra drinks and snacks down there to reload. I have a lot of my recording equipment on this shelf. You know, napkins, plates, things like that for when we have pizza and stuff. Now, why do I have this weird shelving unit in here? It doesn't match, it sticks out. Why do I have this? Well, every year I put on an event for my friend group. I just call it our gaming retreat. Every year we go on a retreat, we go to a different city and we rent a cabin and we lock ourselves away for 3 days over the weekend, and all we do is play games. From the moment we wake up to the moment we go to sleep, we play games. And I use this shelving unit to take it with me to the retreat so that I have somewhere to store my games when we get there. I don't just want to stack them on tables or in corners. I take this shelving unit and I put games on it. I'm the board gamer of the group. Most of my friends are RPG players. So what ends up happening at the retreat is I end up packing away a solid 50 to 60 of my games to take to the retreat so that we have options. And honestly, we play a good chunk of them. Our retreat is in November every year. I will be vlogging it this year, so be sure to look out for those videos coming at the end of November, around Thanksgiving time. I'm excited for the retreat. It's one of my favorite events of the year. I love that I'm able to put it on for my friends, so I hope you guys enjoy it when the vlogs come out for that. Super quick look in the closet. Down here we have tote bags for games that I've gotten over the years from different conventions. I use that to transport games to the retreat. I've got some cosplay stuff that I have. These totes over here are full of cosplay stuff. I have side tables that I also take to the retreat as well as I use in here. You should never have drinks and snacks on your table with your game, so everybody knows when you're going to play games with me, you're going to use a side table for your drinks and snacks. Up on top here, these are all empty boxes for expansions and boxes I didn't need anymore because I bought a big box. I am the kind of person who just can't seem to part with this stuff. I'm sure the day will come that I end up recycling these, but for now, I kind of like having a closet full of empty expansion boxes, honestly. So that's what's in the closet. Alright guys, real quick before we get to the stuff on top of my shelving, all my decorations, you guys have already seen so much in this room. You can see that I love to fill every nook and cranny in here, and every time I see empty space, I just want to fill it with more. With that being said, it is something I'm very proud of. People come to my house all the time to play games, and whenever someone new comes, one of the first things they do is they look around my room because I have so much in here and they can't wait to see it all, because there's something in here for everyone. Everybody thinks at least something in here piques their interest, especially if they're gamers like me. I have actually had people say, while we're sitting there playing a game, they'll point something out on the shelf and they'll be like, oh my god, that's so cool. And I'm like, yeah, I love it. Are you a fan? And we have a full-blown conversation about it. And then they look at me and they're like, man, I just keep looking around, and every time I look somewhere, I see something new, because there's so much in here, and I'm really proud of it, and people really like it, so I hope you guys are liking it as well. Be sure to leave in the comments down below what your favorite decoration you see is. I'm really curious, and if you like multiple, leave multiple, and I would love to talk to you about our similar interests and hobbies. Let's get back to it, and let's look at the rest of the decorations. Alright, starting over here, we have our wacky waving arm flailing inflatable tube man. Love him. He gets stuck sometimes and you gotta fix him, but love him. We're gonna turn him off, but we'll give you a couple seconds of watching him flail around. Alright, you can't have decorations without having dice, of course. We've got our big yard dice, we've got the foam dice here. Five Nights at Freddy's, we got Foxy. Alright, so let's talk about this guy real quick. If you recognize him, that is Cheese from Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. So, we have a running joke in our friend group that I'm like Cheese. I'm silly, I'm wacky, I'm random, I say crazy stuff. So one of my friends for Christmas, if you don't notice, that is macaroni. This is a macaroni art of Cheese. My friend made this for me by hand. and it is one of my prized possessions because I can't imagine how long it took him to do this. Crazy. We have Dungeons and Dragons lunchbox. This is a picture of a basketball team I was on when I was a teenager. My grandpa was the coach. This is very precious to me. Twilight Imperium 4, great game. Takes like 8 hours. It's a whole commitment. Wooden Meeple, Everdale Mega Collection game. Oh my god, this is the biggest box board game I have ever seen in my life. There is no fitting it anywhere that's in a shelf. Gloomhaven, of course. My dice towers for role player and Wingspan. I have another dice tower in the Wingspan box. More Naruto stuff. Alright, so if you saw my Gen Con vlogs, you heard me say that Gen Con does a special beer every year that is themed. Here are a can from 21, 19, and this year's 23. These are the beers from Gen Con. We got some Pokemon cards and Naruto cards, and then this one right here. This is a game from one of those like couple games that's like, do you know your partner type thing. Well, I'm a board gamer. My wife is a reader, but she's also really big into hiking and outdoors. So we framed this in here because it fits us so well. Play a board game together or go on a hike together. That literally describes the two of us perfectly. Alright, and then over here, we have some miniatures displayed for my D&D campaigns. I love them. More Naruto stuff. We've got Risk 60th anniversary. And here is a Naruto drawing. My mom drew this for me. 3 of my favorite characters, Kakashi, Shikamaru, and Gaara. My mom drew that by hand. I absolutely love it. It's incredible. More Naruto stuff, Ted Lasso stuff. This is from one of our D&D campaigns, or actually this is from our Monster of the Week campaign. J. Cole album. I love J. Cole. Alright, that's one side. Let's go look at the other. Alright, this side is primarily dedicated to my pop figures. We got a couple little knickknacks here and there. Tracy McGrady, my big box poster pop figure. We've got mini pops here in a little Harry Potter scene. We've got Dumbledore, Naruto, Dobby, Pikachu. We've got little Naruto cats. If you see them, I adore them. Now let's get on to what I would call my second collection, my pop figures. First of all, I have this entire shelving unit here empty. Well, a little precursor to my next unboxing video. This entire box right here is full of pop figures. Nothing but pop. That is my next load of pop figures. They will go right here on this shelving unit, and I can't wait to fill this in for you guys. Well, I have 2 other shelving units of pop. Let's jump into them. This entire side over here is nothing but Naruto figures. Naruto figures from top to bottom. Some of my favorite characters. I still have tons of Naruto pop figures to go. By the time I'm done, I'm willing to bet I have anywhere from 3 to 5 shelving units of nothing but Naruto pop figures. Over here, we got some of my favorites. Edgar Allan Poe, Ted Lasso, my favorite show ever. LeBron James, I'm a huge LeBron fan. If you don't know me well, then you don't know that I am a huge LeBron fan. Yusuke and Hiei from Yu Hakusho, one of my favorites. I do have 2 Naruto pop figures that were extra that wouldn't fit in here well, so I put them over here. We got Sexy Jutsu Naruto and Kawaki from Boruto. We've got Hunger Games. We've got Dwight Schrute. We've got Krampus. Over here, we've got both Ned Stark and Boromir. Same actor if you don't know. And then finally, up here, we've got my Green Lantern. This, if you notice, looks a little bit different than the other ones. That's because this is an old school pop figure. This is when pop figures first started being made. I've had that pop figure for years. I don't even want to tell you how long for fear of being wrong, but I want to say it's been like 10 years I've had that pop figure. It was my first ever one. I love it. Here's my pop collection for you guys, and I can't wait to fill that one in as well on our next video. Alright guys, and that's my collection. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what your favorite decoration was. Let me know if you spotted any games that you absolutely love, didn't expect me to have, or might be your favorite game of all time. Put all that in the comments down below. Be sure to hit that like button. This channel is growing rapidly. I'm having a great time. Considering I had 0 subscribers at the beginning of Gen Con and we released our first videos and you guys have flocked to it, I'm having a great time. You guys are supporting me. We're going to keep putting out videos as often as we possibly can. Hopefully weekly. That's my goal. So far, I've done a good job of sticking to it. But thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye!